Hello everyone! So this is a quick coloring video with these watercolors, and these are the watercolors from Michaels, and they only cost about $5, and then if you use a coupon you get an even cheaper. So this is a pretty inexpensive way to get started on coloring. And here I'm using one of the colors which I showed there. They don't have names. I'm thinking about labeling them so it'll be easier to describe. But what I've been doing, and I haven't been coloring with these very long, so I don't have very much experience, but what I've noticed is when you have more color on the brush, the color is darker. So what I've done is I'll use the darker color where I want the shadow to be first, and then I'll draw out the color from there. So here I'm just drawing the skin, or coloring in the skin, and it's fairly easy to do. It just gets kind of blotchy sometimes, so you do have to go over it quite a bit. Here I was trying to get it to focus, but it was pretty difficult. I don't know what's wrong with my camera, it's just not focusing up close. But here I started again and I dipped it in, and see, when I have too much color on the brush, I'll just swipe it on the side of the paper just to get some of the color off so it'll be lighter. And that's what I like about these watercolors, is you can get a lot of different variants of the same color just by adding more water or less water, or adding more color or less color. So see here, the hands came out pretty dark when I first started, a lot darker than the face. So I did have to go back in and add a little bit more water and take out a little bit of the color because it was not matching the face. See here is very dark, and of course you can use that color as well, but it's nice that you can use lots of different skin tones and color from the same, color on the palette. But I took off some of the color just so it would match more with her face, and now I'm just going in and coloring her legs. And again, I'm putting in the darker color where I want the shadow to be, and then pulling out from there so I can have that shadow where I want it to be. And again, I've only been watercoloring with these for about a week or so. So again, I'm no expert. I don't know any good techniques or anything like that. I've just been playing around with them. But here you can see the skin, and again, I'm just fiddling around trying to get it to focus, which it does not want to do, so I won't try that again. And I use the archival ink to stamp these out, and it does not bleed. I use the Heidi Swap archival ink, and that works pretty well. You can see I don't have any bleeding problems with that. And you can see what color I'm using there. It's the second row, third column from the left. And again, see, I want those shadows to be there where I first place them, and then I draw out the color from there. And usually you can see you can grab the color where you placed it, unless of course you clean it with a paper towel or something. But if you put it on the side like that, you can grab at the color if you want. And again, I just clean it also just by wiping it on the side of the paper. I'm not too technical with that, and it usually comes off pretty easily. So now I'm going to color in her hat, and again I'm going to start off on the sides where I want it to be the darkest, and then I pull out from there. And you can see as I'm pulling it into the middle, you can see that it's getting lighter because it has less color on the brush and more water. So again, I swipe it on the side a little bit just so it would get some of that color off. And I was contemplating leaving it like that with the white spot, but I wasn't too sure about it, so I just colored it in. And if it gets a little blotchy, I just go over it and see it looks more smooth like that. And what I love about these watercolors is that if you want it to be darker, you can add more color later on, even if it's dry. And if you want it to be lighter, you can just add more water and it'll get lighter. So that's really nice how you can play with it a bit, and it's not so permanent where if you color it in and it's too dark, you're stuck. So here you can see again, I'm just adding the very, very dark color, and I kind of regretted that, so I was trying to take some of that off, and I was able to take a little bit off, but not all of it. And the hardest part I found about using the watercolors is that you have to be careful that the color next to it is not very wet, because it will pool over and mess up the whole image, which I had that happen a few times. But here I didn't have it happen too much because I'm trying to let it dry a bit. So I just made the bottom of her hat a little darker because it should be, in the shade. And then the top of the hat, again, I'm going in on the sides and trying to make that look a little bit darker. So I already finished up her hat, and now I'm going to color in her, I was trying to fix her face because it was looking a tiny bit too blotchy. So I just went over it, made it a little bit lighter. So I just did that, and again, the way I clean is just by swiping on the side. Now I'm going to color in her dress. It's the same exact color I used for her hat. And I'm starting off on the sides and then pulling it into the middle, so the middle looks a little bit lighter than the sides, and then the sides look darker. So that's what I did for that. And here you can see the angle is a little different because the battery on my camera had died and I didn't want to stop coloring, so now I'm filming with my iPad, which hopefully I won't have to do that too often because I do like the angle of my camera better. But here I'm just finishing up her dress and trying to color it in. It does look a little blotchy right now, but again, that's because I tried to put the watercolor on top of the dry color. So here I just want it to look a little bit darker, just a little bit more defined, the shadows. So I'm going in again and adding some more color on top of it. And again, I'm not an expert, so I've only been doing this for a few days, so hopefully I'll get better at it the more I do it, but I really do like it. You can see here it looks very dark as well, the colors. And this palette from Michaels brings 36 colors, and what's nice about it is even though it's 36 colors, you can make a lot more colors with those, because again, since it's watercolor, if you add more water, it can be lighter. If you add less, it can be darker. So you can get a lot of different colors from that little 36 color palette. And again, it's very, very inexpensive. The paper and the ink and the watercolor brush and the palette came out to all of it together about $16. So very inexpensive to get. See, I'm just coloring up her dress. It's all the same color, even though some looks a little bit darker than the other ones. And I'm not quite sure what I was going to color. Oh, here I was trying to fix her face again. I wasn't too happy with the way it was coming out. It was a little bit blotchy, but I was able to fix that. So here you can see I'm almost finished. Now I colored in her hair a little bit because it was too light, especially since it's at the bottom. It should be darker. So I colored that very quickly. I used that brown, which you saw right there. It's at the bottom on the first row, second column from the left. And I used a little bit of color for this. I didn't want that, I'm not sure what it is, the pot, I guess. I didn't want it to be too dark. So I used very little color and more water for that. And just colored in the whole, I guess, pot. It looks kind of odd, but I used that. And then you can see I added a lot more color, and that's the same exact color I used for the pot, but I added a lot more color this time, so it's very dark. So you can see it looks like two completely different colors, but they're not. They're all the same color for that pot and the soil. So there you can see that. And now, what am I going to color here? Oh, the leaves. And the leaves are very easy. I don't worry about blending or anything. I just use that green color you saw there and filled them in. And then, again, I'm cleaning off the brush. There's probably a better way to do that, maybe with a paper towel, but yeah, I just use those little scraps since I'm going to throw them away anyway. And here I use that burgundy color to fill in her shoes and the little strap on her hat. And I also end up using that color for the butterfly on her dress. See, there it is. And I was going to finish there, but I messed up her dress and I got a little bit of the brown on there and I could not take it off. So I was trying to fix it up and it just wasn't working and I was just making it bigger. So I decided to just go over the whole apron part of her dress and make it look like I did that on purpose. So that's why I went over the whole thing. And then here's what it looks like. and here it is all cut out and finished. It was also dried in this picture so you can see what it ends up looking once it's completely finished and dried. So thanks for watching. Bye!